Welcome, dear little souls. So this is Agape from Enter Agape, and today I've been called to share a little bit about my own personal story and how I find my way to A Course in Miracles and to personal healing and how it worked for me. So I would say the necessity is the mother of invention, and what I mean by that is I was forced as a certain period of my life to look for alternative ways of healing because I've been faced with some kind of genetic disease concerning one of my close ones, and I was just searching for help, and that's how I came across Theta Healing Therapy. And first I became like a client and started to work on my blockages, my past traumas, and my ancestral line, because this is what Theta Healing does. So in Theta Healing, I've learned we have like 4 layers that we look on from the source perspective, and that would be like history level with all the past lives, and genetic level where we look at our ancestor lines, and we have the soul level where we look at all of everything that ever happened to us accumulated, and we have like the basic everyday level which talks about what we've experienced in the childhood and through adolescence up till now. And I gradually started to work on those areas, and at some point decided I want to become a certified Theta healer myself. And so that led me to participating in some of the courses. And one of the courses, and I think I've mentioned that already in one of the past videos, I've encountered people reading Course in Miracles on a daily basis, like in the morning, because there are groups that gather together every day via Skype or some other medium, and they're just sharing the lessons and their opinions and kind of support each other. And that was my first encounter, and I was like, I have no idea what those people are talking about. And I had even an experience of reading one chapter myself aloud, and I generally have no idea what I was reading about because it sounded so complicated to me. But this is how A Course came into my mind, and after a period of time, I was invited through those people to a group where they would study this course every day. And at the beginning, I was just listening because I didn't feel like participating or sharing my opinion. But in that time, I think it was very quickly after I started to participate in the course that I got pregnant. And very soon after that, it was like a beginning of the pregnancy, I found out that my baby had a heart problem. And there were some other concerns about this pregnancy. I'm not feeling like talking about that right now, but maybe I share the story sometime later. And basically what I want to say is, immediately after entering the course, I had some problems that arose and was kind of forced to look even deeper within myself for support. And this is where I kind of had to, and I allowed myself to open to the possibility of miracles and of God guiding me through this situation. And from the perspective of time, I can say that I was very stubborn, and I had a particular vision of how this healing should look like. And I think that was an element of pride back then. So knowing like better what is best for me, and kind of asking God to do things the way I want them to be, exactly the way I think they're supposed to be. So like commanding God in a way. But from the time perspective now, I can say this has all arose from like the lack of trust, and this is something I'm still working, because what you learn in course is that you are a son of God, and God only wants peace and joy for you, and actually that is the only thing he can experience, because love is only life, and love is only God, and there's actually nothing else in the real world. And I'm not saying here in this 3D matrix. So what I wanted to say is that this path, I think it was a path towards my first awakening, was really dense for me. So in a way, as soon as I started to release ego, the ego wanted to increase itself, and I was imposed towards a situation that I perceived unbearable at the moments. And this was a process of going out from the victimhood, from the victim mentality, and it took me a very long time to realize that. And the tricky point was that even though I consciously realized that I may have been a victim, and I have drawn all those situations to my life because of that victimhood mentality, I was still being a victim, and to the point that I was blaming myself for being a victim and thinking all those feelings, and knowing that I'm the only one responsible for what I'm seeing, because the Course says clearly about that. And going back to the Course, now from the time perspective, I can relate that even though it's written like in a very Christian religious language, it refers basically to all the levels of healing that I've been drawn to before and that I've been working on. Although it doesn't says about past lives and your ancestors, because it's focusing on here and now, and it's here and now where the healing happens. But still, like the concept of inner child healing, of being a child of God, being all the power of God, having all the power of God in you. And mostly what I would refer it to now is like the Course on Manifestation. So undoing your, I would say, poison mind that is blocked towards love, mind that is blocked towards abundance. And with every daily lesson and every reminder there in this book, you are kind of asked to reprogram your brain, reprogram your conscious, to allow this light to penetrate everything that is dark, and then to transform your mind so you can make conscious decisions. And going back to that story, I just wanted to give one example, because I remember this very clearly. One point where I made a conscious decision that I'm gonna change the events that are happening, because I was like kind of spiraling down with all those problems and emotions. And the point with problems is that the more you think about, the more they seem to spread and multiply. And I was in a hospital after the baby was born, and they told me that there is this possibility that he's gonna have leukemia, because he was born like a month before he was due to come. And they told me all those terrible stories, like usually doctors probably do, because they need to inform you, and I'm not blaming them for that. But this kind of gave me such a pain of how is it possible that this all is happening to me, and I have brought that to myself. But because I was consulting with other doctors, and especially one that really helped me, because he's also like very deep in recall healing and all the mind-based conflicts that are then externalized on the body. He gave me this advice that, okay, if they want to have those tests done on him, and the test mean that the 9-day-old newborn was having to have his spinal fluid taken to a consultation, then that means they want to help, they need to do that. But just remember that because he's so small, maybe he didn't develop all those cells in his blood that are needed for him to have the good results. And just be aware of that, and be aware of that you've also been working through so many conflicts, and that might be also reflected on his body with those low cells. And to make things shorter, I made a conscious decision not to have that test done yet. and to give him time to grow. And I remember this moment because all of the doctors that were ready to take him to the, let's call it surgery, they were like mad obviously on me because I was resisting, and I said no. And at the same time, I felt so much relief because I made a decision. I made a conscious decision that I'm going to give more time to this baby, for the body to develop, for the cells to grow. And even though I was scared, even though I wasn't sure I was doing a right decision, I made a conscious decision. And when I made this decision, I could feel so much relief, even though the external, meaning the doctors, they were all shouting at me and the energy was really against me. I could feel so much relief, so much light was going on. I was like feeling in ecstasy because I knew I made the right decision. And guess what? I think we left the hospital within the next 4 days, because every day after day, the results were getting better and better and better. And this whole narrative of leukemia stopped. It never came again. And I'm just mentioning this because I think that was the first time in my life when I made a conscious, supporting decision, allowing myself the idea that I am a creator. I am a creator, and I'm asking God for help. And I feel this is a decision that I'm taking with God. And I hope someone there needed to hear that, and I hope it helped. And I'm just gonna open randomly a curse and read out something. Maybe you find it also beneficial for you. Okay, so straight ahead. I am as God created me, from the lesson 110. I am a God as created me. I am as God created me. His son can suffer nothing, and I am his son. We will repeat today's idea from time to time, for this one thought would be enough to save you and the world if you have believed that it's true. In truth would mean that you have made no change in yourself that have reality, nor changed the universe so that what God created was replaced by fear of evil, misery, and death. If you remind as God created you, fear has no meaning, evil is not real, and misery and death do not exist. So guys, Course in Miracles, everything is here, ready. Check for yourselves. And thank you for listening, and bye.